So this is part two in a series of videos looking at how to read tarot, taking it right back to the basics. This may be of use to you if you're an experienced reader and you're looking to deepen your experience, because actually taking it back to the basics is often a good idea for even the most experienced of readers. And I'm hoping this will help you if you are brand new to tarot. And basically, I wanted to talk you through step by step, and I'm going to try and go slowly, which isn't my best skill. A practical tarot reading you can use for yourself or someone else if they or you are in a time of crisis. Because I know a lot of people are really struggling now for various different reasons. And when we are struggling, when we are overwhelmed, or if you are reading for somebody that is struggling or overwhelmed, then the more predictive style of readings can just add to the overwhelm. I've learned that by working with clients, and I've learned that myself by using tarot as a way to support myself through difficult times. Now, I have already shuffled my deck because, as usual, this is a true reading for myself. It doesn't matter how you shuffle or pick the cards, okay? What matters is that you shuffle the cards in a focused state. So shuffle the cards however you wish to and be really focused with this reading. If you're reading for yourself, which I'm going to presume now to make it easier, really just think about yourself. Shuffle the cards calmly, enjoy the process. I do like to cut the deck into three piles and put it back together again. To me, that's like a full stop, but you don't have to. What matters is that you shuffle and cut if you choose to in a calm, reflective way, really focused on yourself. I like the simplicity of taking the cards from the top of the pack, but if you are used to spreading them out and picking them, or dividing the pack and taking them off the top of different piles, stick with what works for you. Okay? All of us tarot readers out here, we can share what works for us. And you can mix and match, try my ideas, try other people's ideas. What matters then is finding what works for you. Okay? So this reading is very simple. One card to represent how I am feeling right now, and two cards that are advice and action cards. I don't do one card readings because to me, the magic of tarot happens when you look at the connection between the cards. That's where the real skill comes from. So I do not do one card readings. And I always like to start with something I can validate as being true. That's how I can know that my readings are accurate. So if I just do three cards for advice and action, how do I know that I was in the right space of mind, that I've picked up on the right energies? How do I know that I'm on point? You only know that you're on point or you're accurate if you've got something to validate it with. So I'm reading with the Rider-Waite deck, and my first card to represent my feelings, how am I feeling right now, is the Six of Cups. Now, if you've read much about my thoughts on tarot, you'll know I don't like this card. To me, yes, this is nostalgia, this is rose-tinted glasses, but it's also very often to do with wounds in childhood. I've got a separate video on that, so just if you search for it, you'll find it. The other thing I don't like about the Six of Cups is the feeling of claustrophobia. See how there's no way out in the buildings? So what I'm doing here is I'm doing the first thing that I would do in any tarot reading, and this is the first thing I would advise you to do in any reading yourself. Look at the card. Just put one card down. This is the card to represent your how you are feeling. Look at the card. The card has pictures for a reason. Whatever deck you are working with, really look at the card and allow the picture to speak to you. And with all that I know about this card, the thing that I feel when I look at this card right now is trapped, overwhelmed, boxed in. And that is actually how I'm feeling. I can validate that. I feel overwhelmed with the responsibilities of being a single mum and running a business in a pandemic and all of those things. I've realized that I haven't been out for a walk for several days. I missed the day out with the family because I was working. I have allowed myself to feel trapped. So that's the first thing you do. You look at the card. If you're doing this for yourself, I strongly recommend that you have a journal or a notebook and you just write down, it could be key points, bullet points, just a couple of words. If you like writing, you can write longer. But the first thing to do is you look at the card. How does it make you feel? And validate that. Is that a true reflection? For me, feeling of overwhelmed, definitely. Then, if you want to, I suggest that you look the card up. I've got full details on all the cards apart from the Fool on my website. There are books, you can Google it. If you've got anything you want to look up, now is the time to look it up. Add that to your notes. And then you pick the second card. So I'm just taking straight off the top because I've shuffled. I take the next card. So this is practical advice and action. You'll notice that I'm not reading reversals. If you choose to read reversals, that's really up to you. But if you're starting out, I suggest that you have the card. A reversal would be if it was upside down. I suggest that you have the card the right way up because you can see the images more clearly, and that you read the card as neutral, neither good nor bad. Flow through what the card makes you feel. And because this is reflecting something you already know within you, you'll know which is the true meaning. So the next card is advice. So the Two of Cups, following my own advice for you, you look at it. You look at the card. What does it tell you? So this is a card with two people, and they are each sharing their cups. This is a card. Yes, I know a lot of people see this as a romantic relationship, but actually it's any caring, equal, loving relationship, which is friendships, work friendships, family as well. So when I look at that, I see two people that are being emotionally honest with each other. If you're doing this for yourself, write down what you see and try then to consider how would that be as advice or action. Remember, this is not a prediction. And even if it's a really negative card, and I'll whiz through some of those at the end, there is positive, practical advice for every card in the deck. And if you don't believe me, go onto my website and you'll find it. So advice, yeah, that's about reaching out to friendships. I'm very aware that when I get into this mindset, that's the first thing that goes. So that is very good advice to me. At this point, you may then want to look up my website and some books. But the thing is, you look, write down a couple of notes, and then if you want to, you research and then write down a few notes. Make sure that you do the looking first, because if the first thing you do when you turn a tarot card over is research it, you're not building any real wisdom. You're not developing your tarot reading skills. You're building your wisdom and your knowledge, if you like, but you're not developing your own personal wisdom, and you're definitely not developing your skills. So that's my first bit of advice. My second bit of advice is the Hanged Man. And as I look at him, to me, what my eye is drawn to is the crown chakra here. And the crown chakra I see is very much connected with our right brain, our spiritual self, our higher guidance, moving away from the left brain. So that's what I see when I look at that. If you're doing this for yourself again, have a look at what you see, write it down. When it comes to practical advice for me, the Hanged Man definitely represents shamanic work, because as a Norse shaman, this would represent Odin, who hung himself on Yggdrasil. And I have actually booked in to go to my shaman for healing on Monday. So that's great action. Again, you may want to look it up. You may want to, research practical advice. So that is my best advice for, just making sure you can see those, for reading for yourself. By starting off with the one card, which reflects how you are feeling, you can look at that card and hopefully validate that you are reading it accurately. And then 2 cards for advice. And if you're worried or wondering how on earth, some of the more negative cards perhaps could be seen as advice, let's go through some of them and give some practical ideas. We have the 8 of Swords. So the 8 of Swords is feeling, the swords represent your logical mind, and this is feeling trapped by your own thoughts, unable to express your own thoughts. Notice how we have water down here and a clear way forward. I think for me, the advice of the 8 of Swords is just try and, even if you can't say to someone else, I need, try asking yourself. Maybe if you're going to go and make yourself a drink, say, what do I need to drink? What would I like to drink? Start expressing how you feel to yourself, even if you can't say it to other people at the moment. 3 of Swords again, with the logical mind, with words, struck through the open heart, the unguarded heart. This is being honest, speaking your feelings honestly. Okay, it's very, it's a really powerful card. The 9 of Swords, I'm going to be honest, it is a dark card. It is a card of being overwhelmed by your own thoughts and your own worries. The most important practical message for me in the 9 of Swords is, number one, recognizing that that's how you feel. And if you've got it in the advice to me is hidden in the duvet. These are red roses hidden in the duvet, and the red rose represents our physical body. It would suggest doing something physical, making a cup of tea, going for a walk. If you're worried about money, opening the bills. It would be doing something physical to get you out of the headspace. This is the 9 of Swords, where the swords represents the mental mind, the logical mind. It's there is no 10. 10 is one over, if you like. 9 is the last single digit number. You can't outthink yourself from the 9 of Swords. You need to go right the way back to the Ace of Swords, which is in some ways what the 10 is. The 5 of Swords, if this is advice, then this guy here who has won, and notice how it's all the swords, because the swords, I will move on to the Devil on the Tower, and I'm just running through some of the more classically difficult cards to have a positive slant to. But the swords represent words. Okay, this guy has won the battle. He's the victor. There is no blood. Nobody's dead. He is not blooded. Words only hurt when you take them personally. So if this was an advice card, I would say don't take things personally. Even if that's just for that day, even if it's just to try and help you for that day, don't take things personally. Just having a look. I mean, the Tower is a difficult card for most of the time. I know some people love the energy. It is a clearing. What I always feel with the Tower, the best way to let this happen is to not try and hold on to the status quo. The Tower is about letting go of things that no longer help you. They probably did help you in the past. Now they aren't. So with both the Tower and the death there, these are cards of change, of letting go. If that was an advice card, I would see, what can I practically do to let go of something today? Maybe even that's a decluttering. Maybe it's letting go of something in your mind. Maybe it's finding a self-limiting habit that you can let go of today. What can you do to, and there's a sense here as well of very practical magic. When we do things in the physical world, it can really support our psychological process. So if you've got big emotional things that you're trying to let go of, maybe self-limiting beliefs or a toxic relationship, do you know what? Clearing a kitchen drawer or clearing your cupboard or wardrobe can really help. So these are about letting go. And if you can't let go of something because it's too big right now, try letting go of something smaller, clearing something and helping the process. The Hierophant, whoops. The Hierophant is to me about wisdom and knowledge and learned things. So this would be about, as the King of Swords as well, it would be about finding something out. If you've got a problem, if I'd got this for myself, I might try and find a good book to read. I might try and find a video or an audio book or a podcast. This is about seeing what other people, other experts have had to say. Strength is often about being kind to yourself. The Ten of Wands, if it was a practical advice, would be don't do so much. Put something down. The Ten of Wands, if that was practical advice, it would be have a look at your to-do list and halve it. It really is that simple. As advice, the Five of Cups is very often have a good cry. Allow yourself to feel the emotion, because so often, we are busy, we have things we need to do, and we don't allow ourselves the time to feel the emotion. The Devil, to me, almost always represents self-limiting beliefs and feeling that you can't do things. So if the Devil was advice, I would really listen out to yourself. What do you think, or what do you say to yourself? Oh, I'd love to do this, but... Oh, I'd love to do this, but listen, as practical advice, I would listen to how you self-limit yourself, and that usually means listening to your inner critic. The Five of Pentacles, it often refers to money, financial difficulties, or physical exhaustion and physical difficulties. The beautiful thing about the Five of Pentacles that's so often overlooked is this: you can just see the birth of the sixth pentacle above it. This is a card of, if it was advice, probably I would suggest going through finances, maybe not spending too much that day, maybe double checking things. If you felt that it was referring to your physical energy, might be checking in with diet, might be checking in with getting a proper rest. It has wide meanings, but there is an idea here of just keep focused on what you need to do, because the sixth pentacle is right there. And so you can see that a positive meaning can be found, and I do mean this very sincerely, in every single card. Okay? Even arguably the darkest card, which to me is the Nine of Swords, where the hidden message, it's not hidden, it's in the picture. The advice is the roses there. So that's my my honest advice to you. The best way to learn to read tarot is to read for yourself on a daily or a weekly basis and learn how the tarot reflects you in your daily life. So the first card is how you are feeling right now, and you should be able to validate that because you should know how you're feeling right now. Two cards for practical advice, action, what you could best do. Look at the card first, then write a few notes, then research the cards, then write a few notes, and then at the end of the time frame, whether that's at the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month, go back and write a few more notes. Where were you right? Where were you wrong? And it's this constant checking, validating, and getting your accuracy better. And you don't do that through books, and you don't do that through sort of writing notes. You do that by reading the tarot, looking at the cards, researching, writing notes, and then checking back as to what actually happened. How did that reflect what you thought would happen? That is the key. And, that way you build a very personal, practical knowledge of the cards. And by looking at the cards first and making your notes based on looking at the cards, you are building really practical tarot reading skills.